Aquarius.
Hello Aquarius, this is your astrological forecast for February 2016, and we have a very exciting month here. And happy birthday! What a great calendar of transits do we have for all of you birthday boys and girls. It's more or less one of those months which could be like too good to be true. Why? Because we have excellent aspects here that are going to pan out in so many different ways. Now, for you, you have the sun in the first house because that is your solar chart, and this is where you're going to be expressing all of that radiance that you hold. And not only that, we have the new moon here for you this month, and the new moon will be taking place on the 8th, and 19 degrees there for those of you who have your sun around those degrees. Now, the new moon is also the time to write your abundance check, as we've been talking about in the past, but it's also the time to place your intentions, and it will carry you throughout the rest of 2016 into February, around this time here next year. So make a circle on your calendar for the 8th. The full moon this month here is going to be on the 22nd, 3 degrees in Virgo. So for you here, that will be in the 8th house, Aquarius. When we have the full moon in this area, it's all about looking at our resources, especially also shared resources, that which we have with our partner, or it could be royalties and commissions, or even looking at investments and savings. And perhaps those things now will be coming to the forefront here by the end. But since we're talking about the luminaries right now, I just want to mention that next month we have both a solar and a lunar eclipse, very interestingly so. So for those of you who are subscribers, you will get this extra edition directly to your inbox. And for the rest of you, you just want to keep an eye for them, because I'm going to make them on separate videos. So a little bit more about the power of eclipses, because a lunar eclipse gives us the power of 3 moons, and so it really accelerates us in new areas and the dynamic shift that it creates. But it also eclipses things out of our life that no longer hold any importance for us. And for the solar eclipse, well, more on that special edition. But here, let's talk about what's going on. Venus here in the sign of Capricorn, it is in your 12th house. So what does it do? It works behind the scenes. That's where the 12th house is. So you might have a lot of internal emoting going on, looking deeply within spirit, or it could also just be something you're holding very close to heart, trying to figure or also put in place until that Venus shows up over the horizon, over your ascendants and into your first house, which will be next month. Venus in Capricorn gives us that Saturnian feel, being the ruler of Capricorn. And so that means that you're really looking at what is important to you. How are you structuring? How are you building your emotional relationships? How are you dealing with your finances? Because Venus rules that too. So all of this is going to intensify as we start off the month, because Pluto will be transiting over Pluto. Now, Pluto is that point in our chart where we really go deep. Okay, deep down to a point of transformation. That will take place on the 5th. So you want to see what that's going to do for you. But Mars is going to open up that door a little bit first, because on the 3rd, Mars and Pluto are sextiling, meaning that they're working together. Mars being dynamic action. It's your physical strength. It's the goals, your drives that you have. Pluto empowering this with nuclear power. So you're going to see that you're starting off the month here with something very point specific in mind. And you're going to feel you're going to ground it, because on the very same day, on the 3rd, the Sun and Saturn are also working together. The Sun being you, Saturn being everything that has to do with your own inner authority. and strength and wanting to secure and anchor down. So I feel if you have something that you're going to be presenting, you're going to be presenting it beautifully. You might be preparing to present something. Because there on the 5th, that's when that Venus-Pluto comes in. So Mars is going to pave the way. Venus is going to come in and just grab it and then do it because they are conjunct. So it has more of a dynamic aspect. On the 6th, I feel you're going to get some good feedback for what you've already achieved early in the month. This is when the Sun, which is the essence of you, and your ruler are coming together with something unexpected. When the aspects are good between these two planets, it's always positive news. And for you, of course, this is going to be between the 3rd house and the 1st house. That's between communication. It could be from siblings. It can come from your neighborhood. It could also be news of travel, because we see that taking place in the 3rd house, and then you. So whatever agreements it is also being fueled by Mercury, again, news or messages, and training Jupiter. So there we have another factor of travel. Even the 3rd house is short distance travel. Jupiter likes long distance. So maybe you are going to be making plans, or maybe even buying tickets to go somewhere. But it could also be news from afar. Maybe out of state, could even be out of country. But in that case, this communication is enthusiastic. It is positive and upbeat. So on the 7th here, you're hanging a left or taking a right, but you're changing directions. And I feel it is due to all the good news, everything that's been established this far is going to allow you to kind of like go off course just a little bit. Maybe it's all about breaking a habit, or separating from something you felt was important, but no longer seems to hold that importance. So there's a sense of liberation coming up, and it's joyful. So it's not a negative. We have Venus and Mars here coming together, and of course that is love and relationships, male, female, yin yang. But it's also money and valuables, those things that you feel are important to you. And when they come together, they're pulling in the same direction towards the goal that you now feel that you had a good grip on here early in the month, and this is what you're going to be sticking to. It's definitely, a date you want to circle in on your calendar for a beautiful date night. For those of you in a relationship, if you're single, don't sit home. This could be the time that significant other could come and cross your path. And it's so close up to the new moon that the new moon will be infused and inspired by this Venus and Mars. So it should be beautiful if you look to the skies. But here, the new moon is also the time to write that abundance check and put down your intentions. Now, the new moon being in your 1st house, it's about focusing on you, your needs, your goals, your persona, finding time, taking time for those things that are important to you, and promising yourself in the long run to create more such rooms, little here, little there, because that can keep you happy and balanced, right? On the 10th, Venus and Jupiter, they are trine. Venus cruising through that 12th house, Jupiter here through your 8th house. I'm feeling that we could be looking at maybe some shared resources, perhaps money balancing out, or coming into agreements with those of you who work on commissions. You might be able to heighten it. Royalties, perhaps, there might be a payout coming to you, especially if you've been waiting for it due to the delays that could have come around with Mercury retrograde. Well, if so, you will hear news that it is coming to you here now at this time. And then on the 13th, where Venus had the trine to Jupiter, Mars is following up, but with a sextile, but that is also harmonious. So even more good news as you are pushing through your direction here. This is going to be in your career. Anytime we've mentioned Mars, like on the 3rd of February too, Mars-Pluto was also career-oriented, but here now we have it angling off to Jupiter. Now Jupiter wants to open a door for you. So this would be a time here either with new projects showing up, those of you starting a new job, how wonderful to start here on the 13th. And there could be contracts, money, negotiations. There could be a change in some businesses with a new supervisor or boss coming in. In that case, this will be a very jovial boss that could be leading for a long time to come. On the 26th, this is after the full moon of the 22nd, we will have Mercury now sextiling here with your ruler. Again, good news coming in. And I feel some of it could be unexpected or maybe better than what you had thought if you have been expecting to hear back from some instance. But I'm feeling here that your communication right now, it's picking up speed. It was retrograding there in January and hanging there in your 12th house, but you're in that first house, so you're coming out very clearly, point specifically, communicating all those things that are important, and you're showing the world now what these new areas may be. On the 29th, Venus here with Saturn. Saturn in your 11th house and Venus now. Saturn is going to secure something financial for you. Hopefully it could be a deal, it could be a project, it could also be something that you have with some either group or organization, but it could also be within the circle of friends. Some promise or some schedule, project perhaps that you have been wanting to do with this friend. That may come out here and you may have a lot of joy in finally getting things up and going and manifesting it. So as you can see, we have a lot going on here in your birth month, and you might want to listen to this by the end of February as you transition into March, just so you get the flow of what you have listened to today when you get into March, but also your Horoskopes will give you an additional insight to see what the cards have to say. If the transits here are good, the cards need to be equally good, but it shows more the visual of what you can expect this month, whereas when we speak astrologically, we're talking energies, right? So listen, I wish you a beautiful February, Aquarius. Go listen to your partner's sign too, just to see what he or she will be experiencing and where it's going to be affecting them in their chart. And I will see you in March. Have a good one.